Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's back, baby! The NFL returns, the American football is back, and we are here bringing you the pre-season goodies. We're going to go through what's new for the season. By new for the season, I do mean new for the podcast season. What changes we're making, what things we're adding, what things we're taking away, and what things we are keeping the same. We're also going to go through the first set of games and our predictions in all ways, shapes, and forms. Oh, it's so exciting. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around, people. That's the one we like the most. Share that podcast around. If you've got an NFL fan in your life, if you know someone down the road that you saw wearing a Bengals hat one time, send this podcast their way. They will love it. Right. Here we go. This is CookieCast. Laces out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to something that feels almost alien at this point, as it feels like it's been at least 7 months since we've talked about this particular sport. But that's right, ladies and gentlemen, your American football fix for the next 4 to 5 months, give or take, starts right here, right now. That's correct, ladies and gentlemen. The CookieCast Podcast Network proudly brings back the Laces Out NFL podcast, brought to you by myself and the leader, the honcho, the head man of the CookieCast Podcast Network, Mr. Andrew Cook. How are you, sir? It's been a short minute.
It's been a minute. It certainly has. I'm well. I've realised that if you go and watch the last episode of season 7, as we are now in season 8, last episode of season 7, Laces Out podcast, and compare it to episode 1 of season 8, I imagine I look like a completely different person at this point in time. So it was when you were like, "Oh, it's this amount of times passed." I was like, "Oh man, they'll think that Paul's fired me and got someone else." That is no way blowing any form of trumpets. I did want to draw attention to the fact that it is in fact the 8th time we've sat down and done this, and I don't mean 8th episode. I mean the 8th season. Have a weird feeling like the first season wasn't a full season or something. I think we sort of just let's just do it and get on with it.
Well, I imagine it would have come about because obviously when you launched the network, obviously it was a bit of an all format sort of thing when it was a case of come on, chat to people, chat to me about what you're interested in, and then it sort of grew from there. And I can't think if we did this first or if we did football first. It almost feels like we did this as almost a sort of a tester. Let's see how this one lands.
I think with the fact that both football and NFL are in their 8 seasons, they have to have been done in the same year, obviously. And with like the football season starting and then the NFL season starting, we're talking like a handful of episodes different. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, very true. I always think it's a bit of a cop out that the football season starts before and ends after the NFL season.
Right, they just love it, don't they?
But, I think that's those Americans for you. They love a short season, unless they're playing baseball, in which they're like 160 games or something.
I mean, I'm not going to go too far into it because this is not a baseball podcast, but baseball baffles me on so many different levels that that's part of the reason I don't want to go into it. But it's like 256 games or something a season, and you're like, I'm sorry, what? And they're like, oh,
And so,
we're playing on a Wednesday morning. It's like, what?
sometimes they have 2 games in a day.
2 games a day. That's the other thing. It's like, what is happening right now? What is this weird ass sport? In fact, we should probably get Stu on to discuss it at some point. And then along with our new podcast venture, the old MLB.
What would that be? Like Stitches Out?
Sticks and balls, bats and balls.
Obviously, answers or stick a comment down there.
What your postcard?
Yeah, exactly. So season 2025 is so close to being upon us. The season will be opened by, of course, the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles at home to the Dallas Cowboys. But before we get into any of that, we might as well discuss what happened in the off season. So I've just made a few notes as to the main sort of movers and shakers, as it were. Haven't done anything about the draft, as just watching the first round alone would have taken me 5 to 6 hours, I think. So I've left the draft as it was. Obviously, Tennessee had the first overall pick. They took a quarterback. A couple of other teams took a quarterback, not necessarily to start this season, but sort of looking forward towards the future. The New Orleans Saints decided to not take a quarterback, which is interesting as they don't really have a quarterback. But
you mentioned something to me offline about the Saints, and I was like, there are certain staples as far as the NFL is concerned, and I feel like the Saints being one of the top teams in the entire league is kind of one of those staples. So to see them fall the way they have and apparently continue that trend, obviously we are, moments away from game 1, week 1, etc. So, they might come out of the gate fighting fit and all that, but it feels weird. Feels weird, but yeah.
Very strange indeed. So these are the main moves that I was able to track down from my research. So in quarterback news, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 what you would deem starters. Sorry, 5 what you would deem starters, and a sort of I've thrown a backup move in there just because I thought it was funny. So the New York Jets obviously decided to part ways with the what's the simplest way of putting this? Absolute disaster that was the Aaron Rodgers trade. So they've got out of that particular one. I guess early. I don't even know actually how long he was contracted to the Jets for. But yes, they've moved on from Aaron Rodgers. He's gone to Pittsburgh on a 1-year, $13.65 million contract, of which $10 million is guaranteed in his salary. They have replaced Mr. Rodgers with a guy from Pittsburgh. It's Justin Fields has left Pittsburgh to go to the New York Jets and signed a 2-year, $40 million, of which $30 million is guaranteed contract. Mr. Cook looks like he's absolutely dying to give us his thoughts on, I can only presume, Mr. Aaron
Rodgers. So let's jump back a little while. Aaron Rodgers made it official because he said, "I've bought a house." Apparently, that's how we align ourselves with the team that we are playing for and being paid millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to play for. That's how we make it official. You know, I'm all in on this team because I've bought a house. Okay. Part of me's like, oh, how do I say this nicely? But why the fuck would I bother? The New York Jets should have been the last stop for Aaron Rodgers. If you can't make it work with the Jets, you can't make it work. It's a situation where if you are, you know, really that good, it will show, it will shine, you will perform, you will do well. Especially when you're like, oh, I can only play if I've got all of these players from the previous team that I played for playing with me. So let's spend a lot of money there and get those guys on board. But apparently I'm still shit. If you're shit at the Jets, it's time to retire. So that's what should have happened. The fact that somebody was like, 13.5 million sounds like a bargain. So there's that. Having said what I've just said there about Aaron Rodgers, I also feel if you are going to the Jets, unless you're Aaron Rodgers, apparently, should be your last port before retirement. It's essentially a statement of this is my last year in the league, etc., etc., etc. To pay anyone $40 million, 30 of which is guaranteed. I'm not saying you need to be one of the two teams that's at the Super Bowl, but you are surely talking. We want to see playoffs, which you absolutely would, as any team you want to be seeing in the playoffs. You want to be seeing, going into the postseason. All of those wonderful things that you pay $40 million for. The two things don't go hand in hand, and especially when 30 of it's guaranteed. Here's an idea. Flip it. We're going to pay you $40 million. 10's guaranteed. All the rest is on incentives. Those incentives are, we will give you $10 million if you get us here, and $10 million if you get us there, and another 10 if you get us to the Super Bowl. How does that sound? If you are going into a sit-down meeting with the Jets, that sounds pretty damn good. Because let's face it, it's probably your last bite of the pie. But if I've just had that realization that if I have this much to say about every single one of these moves, we go until the Super Bowl. So
I don't think you'll have as much to say about the remainder of the people that are on the list. So that's the first thing. Next up, we had the one and only trade that kind of involved starting quarterback. So Geno Smith was traded from the Seattle Seahawks to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 2025 third-round pick. So Geno will now go and be the starter in Las Vegas. Filling the hole in Seattle, Sam Darnold, fresh off his, 14-3 season with the Minnesota Vikings, agreed a 3-year, $105 million, 55 of which is guaranteed contract to replace Geno Smith in Seattle.
You know how you said I wouldn't have much to say about
it. Go on.
Sam Darnold fresh off a 14-3 season, which I don't think anybody saw coming. After previous performances from Sam Darnold. Those are some big numbers for you had a good season last season. Anything before that, we're just going to forget about, I guess, and move on. Yeah, cool. I'd certainly want to be seeing the Seahawks back in the Super Bowl again for that sort of money. And again, I'm not convinced. Again, we are in a position. Week 1 has not taken place. The Seahawks have not won their first of all 18 games this season, except for all of the other things I could go on to say. But I'm interested. I'm interested to see that they've seen something that Minnesota saw at the start of last season, and
I think at this point, like you said there, I think my concern would be all the stuff that we've got like on tape of Sam Darnold's play. Surely at this point, there's more that's a concern, than there is where you'd be thinking, yes, he's definitely the franchise guy. I mean, you could argue that obviously he didn't really have a great run of it with the Jets when he was drafted there. But he didn't exactly pull up any trees when he was at Carolina. He obviously had a spell as the backup in San Francisco, didn't play again 2 games when one of the guys was injured, maybe. But yeah, it's only really sort of that he kind of fell into the starting position at Minnesota when the starter went down injured at the start of the season. Obviously, it panned out well for him, but yeah, if I was a Seahawks fan, I'd be very concerned.
So I have this thing of, obviously he had a great time with the Vikings. Was that him or was that them? Is my only question there. And can he do the same in Seattle? Is he going to have the opportunity to do the same? Is he going to have the backing to do the same? I'm like, I was struggling to think, like, who are the big names in Seattle these days? Again, another team that is very different to, the Legion of Boom was a long time ago now. It's very much a different time. Pistol Pete's gone. It's just a different landscape. Has that team got enough to put Sam Darnold where he needs to be? We're going to find out. As a Seahawks fan, like you say, maybe cause for concern.
Only time will tell. So 2 left to go through. The last of which is the last, what you would class as probably being pretty much the starter. After Russell Wilson's year in Pittsburgh, he also has left, much like Justin Fields before him, and he too has also traded Pittsburgh for New York, but finds himself on the other side of MetLife Stadium, as he'll be suiting up for the New York Giants on a 1-year, $10.5 million contract. The other person that I left in at this point was a bit of a laugh was the fact that his backup, or potentially not even his backup, if the Jackson Dart draft pick is anything to go by, Jameis Winston signed with the New York Giants on a 2-year, $8 million contract. So a year longer than Russell Wilson. At this point, obviously, I don't know if the Giants have named who's going to be the starter come week 1. Or if they're just leaving it until Sunday. But interesting to see, as Jameis Winston, not exactly the quietest of characters, shall we say. But there you go.
When Russell Wilson was winning Super Bowls and getting rings, I had quite a lot of time for him. I thought he seemed to have the right work ethic. And the weirdest thing is that work ethic never seemed to die off. It just seemed like whether old man time got hold of him and was like, you've had your time, you're done now. Whether, like we were saying, whether the team changed around him and then that forced him into a situation where he had to go elsewhere. I know there were contract issues at various points in time, which, that can often salvage things. I know that, obviously, if you look at his time with the Broncos, that didn't go particularly well. See the previous comment about contract issues. There was, after that whole thing, all the stuff that came out off the back of that, which was a little terrifying to hear. But again, you look at the time where, as a team, they were like, "We're not going to support you if you continue playing. We want you to take this contract change. We want you to do this." And he was like, "No," and was like, "Fuck it, I'll go out and win games on my own," and did. So, has he got it still? Probably not. Is he going to have it playing for the Giants? Almost definitely not. So, largely a pointless situation. They will name him a starter because, and you can then yet again have the joy of watching the Giants just collapsing on themselves as they do every year.
That's the quarterback news. Like I say, the rest of them were obviously more moves, but they were mainly as people going into backups. Just thought I'd throw the Jameis one in for a bit of a giggle. Not a great deal of running back moves. Again, there will be people that have moved teams and stuff. They'll be slotting in as, third down backs. They'll pick up sort of, goal line shouts and stuff like that. They won't be in as the starter. The three that kind of took my eye was that Nick Chubb has swapped Cleveland for Houston. I don't know if he'll get more carries than he was expecting, because I don't know if Joe Mixon's out with an injury or he's got some sort of issue at the moment. So you might see more game time from Chubb in Houston as he recovers from the horrendous knee injury that he suffered a couple of seasons back. I think he's just about getting back to his best with the Browns until his contract expired. I've got J.K. Dobbins who's gone to the Denver Broncos. Again, might slot in as the starter. More likely will share a bit of it'll be like a rotating backfield with the other guys at Denver. And Najee Harris has swapped Pittsburgh for Los Angeles. He's moved to the Chargers. Again, probably went with one eye on being the starter. But with the first round draft,
of those three, that's the one I like the most. Nick Chubb not being at the Browns feels weird. He feels like a staple of that team, and the fact that he's not going to be there is something that I'm going to have to remind myself of every week. Going, oh, yeah, he's not there anymore. The Najee Harris one is the most interesting of the three. I think that, like I say, teams are teams. The Jets are always going to be shit. We can all spend a season. We can spend another season laughing at the Patriots because of every season that we had to suffer through them. The Chiefs are going to be accused of having help from the refs for an entire. It's all very much same for a lot of it. For me, and if he's listening, he'll love this one. For me, the Chargers being good is something that should be a staple, and it pisses me off when it's not. When you're like that point where we don't need to worry about the Chargers going to the playoffs kind of area, going into the postseason. They're going to be one of the teams that are going to be there. They're going to get through a couple of rounds. They might get knocked out at that point, but they're kind of a safe sort of thing. And then to watch them get beaten week in, week out, to watch them lose games that they should win, it feels wrong. So a move like that feels like a good move if the team around that move is in a good position. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that, certainly, as the season goes on.
Yes, indeed. Wide receiver, we had a fair amount of movement. Again, these are just a snippet of the amount of moves that took place. Stephon Diggs, nice guy, definitely not a problem. Definitely, doesn't make any sort of issues anywhere if he goes.
We're talking about the same Stephon Diggs, or is this a different?
He's rocked up in New England. He's signed for the Patriots for a 3-year, $69 million. Didn't get a notice. Didn't get a notice of how much was guaranteed on that one. DeAndre Hopkins, his kind of whistle-stop tour of just a year here, a year there, in search of a Super Bowl, has taken him to Baltimore. He signed on for 1 year for $5 million. One of the bigger trades that took place in the offseason, DK Metcalf has swapped Seattle Pittsburgh. So the trade was so DK Metcalf for a 2025 second round pick to the Seattle Seahawks. And they swapped late round picks as well. So I think there was like a fifth and a sixth involved that sort of went back and forth. Another trade was George Pickens left Pittsburgh to go to the Dallas Cowboys. It was Pickens and a 2027 sixth round pick for a 2026 third round and 2027 fifth round pick going back to the Steelers. Deebo Samuel was the one that was traded. Left San Francisco and has gone to the Washington Commanders for a 2025 fifth round pick. Devontae Adams, after his less than successful stop in New York alongside his best mate, Mr. Rogers, has now rocked up at Los Angeles, where he's joined the Rams. He's joined a 2-year, $46 million contract, 26 of which is guaranteed. And finally, Cooper Kupp has swapped the Rams to go join the Seattle Seahawks on a 3-year, $45 million contract. That's your wide receiver moves. Again, there will be more. There'll be loads more that
I mean, come out. We could boil it down to here's your third back starter for this position, this team. But really, are we ever gonna see that person side of the field? Unlikely.
Yeah.
Right.
Those are kind of the guys that sort of popped up as like your fantasy.
Your big names, especially like you say the fantasy. There's a couple in there that I'm kind of The
funniest one for me was DK Metcalf, because apparently the rumours doing the rounds were that he'd said to the Seattle Seahawks, "I want to go somewhere where it's warm. I want to go somewhere where the weather is better." So of course he picks Pittsburgh, where it's sunny all the time. Definitely never rains.
Yeah. Seems again, DK Metcalf not being at the Seahawks gonna be a weird one, because this was kind of what I was alluding to with who the flipping X left at Seattle these days, and that was the only name that jumped up when I went, "Oh wait, no, that's not a thing anymore."
I mean, obviously he's been replaced by Cooper Kupp, so like it's not like for like, but you would like to think that Kupp will take the majority of the sort of the targets that Metcalf would have been getting.
At this point in time, I imagine Cooper Kupp's going to take the majority of everything. I imagine he's going to be like, earning a paycheck. Maybe it's definitely going to be a steady workload for him, because, like I say, who the fuck is there at this point? I can't deal with watching teams just be like, sure, I'm sure it'll work. I'm sure it'll all work out. I'm sure it'll come out in the wash. It's like, you have to build a team. Yeah, you have to put like players in that are going to get the job done to get you where you need to be. And I am always aware of this is a rebuild year, and this is a year where we drop all of our decent players so that we can get a good draft pick. I get all of that, but at the same time, I'm always like, do the best with what you've got and get better. Train the shit out of it. Make it better. But anyway.
There was a couple of tight end moves, but nothing really sort of big. I suppose the biggest one you could say was that Darren Waller came out of retirement and swapped New York for the Miami Dolphins. I suppose that, again, we don't really ever talk about the defensive side of the play that much, but that's probably the biggest trade of the offseason involved a defensive player. So Micah Parsons obviously came out, said he wasn't happy with everything that was going on at the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones then came up the next day and immediately called him Michael Parson. Don't think that went down very well. So Micah Parsons has now swapped Dallas for the Green Bay Packers. As a part of the trade, the Cowboys got back defensive tackle Kenny Clark alongside a 2026 and 2027 first round pick. So he wasn't cheap. The Packers have had to cough up their next 2 first rounders to get him, but he's arguably one of the top 3 guys in his position in the NFL. He's guaranteed to sort of disrupt the play. He's going to make him more difficult to beat in a division where you've got the Detroit Lions, who are pretty much the favourite to win the division. You've got the Vikings that look strong. The Bears could just put everything together. So that
I love the Bears roulette. It's one of my favourite things. Are the Bears going to be good this year? Let's find out together.
Who knows?
They're the worst team in the league. Wonderful. Okay, maybe next year. Oh, they're actually decent this year. Great.
But this is the thing. So if, in theory, if all goes to plan and stuff like that, you're talking about 4 teams that could potentially have 9, 10 wins. So those 6 games that they'll play against the other 3 teams in the division are going to be crucial as to which team goes, and gets the top seed, or wins the division, and obviously gets the highest seed in the postseason. So I think it's a very sensible move from a Green Bay. Like I said, it does kind of hamper them a little bit in the next 2 drafts, but if they win a Super Bowl, they won't care.
Yeah. You know that there's at some point somebody's going to utter the phrase "win now." I think Green Bay had a very at one point they had this window where I think it was probably the same year that I was like Aaron Rodgers for league MVP. I think that was their window where they had we could do it this time, and then they decided that a load of fucking horse shit was what they entirely needed, and it became less about the football and more about the politics. And next thing, they didn't get that Super Bowl, and that window closed. So I think when you're that close and you're that close, you can almost taste it. It sticks with you. It's there season after season after season, as it has been for all those seasons. And now this could be the push. This could be the fuck it. We can still see it. It's still just there. If we do this and this and this, we could do it. Maybe that was what they were. And maybe a first round pick here or there might not matter if you're walking away with a ring.
So there you have it. That is the majority of the big off-season moves, trades, whatnot. So we'll leave it there for the off-season moves, and I believe we're going to leave it there for this particular portion of the podcast. We will step away for a moment or 2, but we'll be right back with some season-long picks, and then we'll dive in to week 1, baby. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. And just like that little break is over, and we are right back at it. So, at this point of the podcast, this is normally where we would bring you our season-long predictions. And that will be changed, ladies and gentlemen, because I have the book right here in front of me. It may have a naughty swear on it, but
Swears he on
this. You'll definitely know not what it says.
Also, I've probably sworn about 16 times up to this point on this podcast, so fairly redundant, especially for me.
100%. So, yeah, that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Just breeze past it. Just breeze past it. So, season-long NFL 2025 picks. For those of you who've never seen the podcast before, this is the point where myself and Mr. Cook will give our Super Bowl matchup, our Super Bowl winner, our Super Bowl MVP, and then we will also give our league season-long regular season MVP, no less. So, I will start us off as we need to go on. Now, last year at this time, I was absolutely convinced that two teams were going to have an absolutely incredible season. One of those was the Detroit Lions. The other was the Houston Texans. Neither of those two teams made it to the Super Bowl. However, I doubled down on one of those teams to make it to the Super Bowl, and it is the Detroit Lions. I know that I just said before the break that the NFC North is probably the most challenging division in all of in the whole of the NFL. But I still see the Lions being the team that will win their division. I wouldn't be surprised if they have home field advantage. I know it didn't work from last season. They were bounced by the Washington Commanders. But I do feel they have enough in the tank to be able to get the win throughout the season and go all the way to the dance, where I believe they will meet the always the bridesmaid, never the bride, Buffalo Bills. I believe this is their time. So I've gone for a Detroit Lions at Buffalo Bills Super Bowl. I have then gone for the Buffalo Bills to break their duck, having been to 4 and lost all 4 in the 90s. And I've gone for, of course, Josh Allen to be named as the game's MVP. Andy, who do you see as being the two teams that will contest this season's Super Bowl?
Sorry. I thought I'd lost you for a second, but it was just a different box. Interestingly enough, we agree on something, which I don't want to say almost never happens, because that sounds weird, but one of your teams I have in my pick, and that would be the Detroit Lions. Now then, this is where I always fall apart. Can the Chiefs be the... Yeah.
So the Detroit Lions are the NFC. They would be the NFC side of things.
Yeah.
Chiefs would fall in the AFC side, yeah.
So I always panic that I'm going to pick two teams on the same side. So my straight off the bat gut reaction was Lions Chiefs. So that was and is. I'm not going to lead you down the garden path. That is my pick. I could get out my tinfoil hat and explain why I believe that to be the case. I can also go through a multitude of other things about why I believe it's going to be the case, and so on and so on and so on. Unfortunately for everybody involved, I believe that it's going to be so much more painful when we have to watch the Lions lose the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs this time round. It's gonna suck. It's also probably going to happen. And again, if you'd like me to break out my tinfoil hat, I can give you the exact reason I believe that's going to be the case. Because of certain developments of recent times, Travis Kelce is my Super Bowl MVP.
I can't possibly think what you are talking about.
I'd listened to something the other day that was talking about the fact that the ongoing the tip top conspiracy out there is that Taylor Swift is being paid by the NFL. Taylor Swift is being paid by the NFL to do the whole her and Travis Kelce thing, to appear at all the games. It's all designed around getting a different demographic pointing their eyes at the NFL. They're going to do this for 2 or 3 years, and then the engagement didn't work out, and that's the end of that. Right up to the point that somebody highlighted that Taylor Swift's last tour generated her $1 billion, and the NFL's probably not going to be able to compete with the kind of money she makes in her sleep for something along those lines. Now, as a man who loves a conspiracy theory, I am well on board with the other side of this one, because that lady, I may not be able to tell you a single song she sings, but I know that lady makes bank. That, and she's got the carbon footprint of a Yeti.
So they have it then. I go with the Detroit Lions with the Buffalo Bills. With the Buffalo Bills to win the game. Josh Allen to be the game's MVP. And he's also going with the Detroit Lions with the Kansas City Chiefs, with them to win the game, and Mr. Swift to be the game's MVP. Switching it up, we've then got the regular season MVP. So this is obviously the person. I say the person. This is obviously the quarterback that is chosen to have had the most impressive 17-game regular season. I was jokingly saying the quarterback, but the last person that wasn't a quarterback to it was Adrian Peterson, and I believe that was 13 or 14 years ago. So the chances of it being not a quarterback is laughable. I have mine written, but I would like to hear Mr. Andrew Cook's shout for the regular season MVP. And while he's going through his choice, I will just bring up the odds so we can just discuss the odds for that particular outcome.
Weirdly, my season-long MVP also ties in well with your Super Bowl pick, because as far as I'm concerned, the almost most safest bet for season-long MVP these days is absolutely Josh Allen. I think that his lot in life is to touch the very, I was about to say rim, but then realised probably not, but touch the edge of greatness and never quite get there, either whether he's going to ever go to the dance or not. But his season is always phenomenal. By all accounts, all the stuff I've seen in the off season, by all accounts, he is just a genuinely nice person. He's also hilarious. I saw him pulling a master prank type joke on a podcast, which was just brilliant. I think he's a good dude. So yes, I think his runner-up prize is often going to be, here you go, take your little season-long MVP and run along.
He is, of course, the current reigning league MVP. He won the award last season for his performances with the Bills. I did toy with the idea of going for Josh Allen, but I went for a different quarterback in the AFC. Seems though I don't have it in me to say good things about the quarterback in Baltimore. I was never going to pick that guy, who is the current favourite at 5-1 to be the regular season MVP.
There was a part of me, there was a little part of me that was like, I wonder if you can pick him without saying that you've picked him and just leave a series of breadcrumbs all the way along the way to go, this is it, but I'm not going to say it.
Nope. I won't give that particular team any sort of credence by putting any sort of positive juju into the ether in their sort of direction. So, no. Mr. Baltimore Ravens starting quarterback can kindly. So, I have, however, gone for a quarterback in his division. No, I haven't gone for Aaron Rodgers to be the league's MVP. No.
Because that would be a ridiculous thing to do.
That would be a ridiculous thing to do, Andrew. No one would ever, in their right mind, do that. I also haven't gone for any one of the starting quarterback options that could have taken the field in Cleveland. So that just leaves one, Joe Burrow.
Oh, it's a good shout.
So, inadvertently, we've both picked guys that are 6-1. So, Josh Allen, 6-1. Joe Burrow, 6-1. The next one's in the favourite series. Patrick Mahomes at 13-2. Jaden Daniels at 17-2. I did toy with the idea of putting Jaden Daniels in. And then Jordan Love, an outsider, at 16-1. Quite possibly. Oh. So there you go. That's for myself and Mr. Cook's regular season MVP picks. So all we'll have to do in this particular week's podcast is just to go through NFL Week 1's games. Now, we are going to slightly change it up this season. Now, for the last couple of seasons on the podcast, we've been doing it where myself and Mr. Cook are the staples. We're on every week. Holidays, illness, whatever, withstanding. And normally we would have a guest on to give a third set of predictions, provide a third sort of, as it were, on the podcast. There were times last season where it proved slightly more challenging to have a guest as people's schedules changed. That's absolutely fine. They weren't able to sort of keep in the timings that we were running to, which is absolutely fine. Obviously, we did have some weeks where we had guests, and that was absolutely great. And we probably will have people on during the course of the season where they will come on, give their thoughts and feelings and stuff like that. We might get some predictions out of them as well. But for this particular season, it's just going to be myself and Mr. Cook that give predictions on a week-to-week basis. So we are literally just going head-to-head against one another. The side bet will still remain. We'll still get our 4 picks each on 4 absolutely nailed-on games that we think will go one way or another. And then we're going to bring something slightly different in with a monetary element to it. Right at the end. But I won't spoil that now. I'll leave that till the end of the podcast, and I'll just, like Mr. Cook was just doing there, I'll just garnish that over the top to leave you with something to keep your eye in for. So, I started way back at the top of the podcast with the comment that the first game of the regular season sees the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Dallas Cowboys at home in Philadelphia. Obviously, they'll do their banner raising where they'll add their World Champions 2024 to the stadium. Of course, obviously, World Champions, even though it's only teams in America that compete. We won't get into that. It's standard American nonsense in it, but you just
the World Series. Did you say?
Oh, excuse me. Yes. So, surprise, surprise. myself and Mr. Cook haven't suffered a traumatic brain injury, so we have both gone with the Eagles to get the win in the season opener. Cowboys arguably will be very much weakened this season, having lost Michael Parson, their strongest defensive player. Eagles have kept a lot of, if not most of their starters from their Super Bowl run. I think this could be a bit of a blowout, to be honest with you, if everything sort of hits in the way it normally would. So, yes, unsurprisingly, we've both gone for the Eagles to win. Second game of the season, in keeping with the tradition that I believe was started last season, is a game being played in Brazil. Is it being played in Brazil? Yes, Arena Corinthians, I believe, is the destination of this one. And it's another divisional matchup. It sees the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. And it's our first difference of opinion of the season. Mr. Cook has gone with the Kansas City Chiefs to get the win. I've gone with the Chargers to pull what could be classed as a bit of an upset on this one. We then move to the regular slate of games starting at 6 p.m. over here in the United Kingdom. The Sunday slate starts with the Buccaneers at the Falcons. We've both taken the Bucs to get the win there. We also have the Bengals at the Browns. Again, no traumatic brain injuries here, so we've both gone with the Bengals. We have the Dolphins at the Colts. I've gone with the Colts to get the win there. Andy has Dolphins. One bit of quarterback news I should have mentioned in the roundup there was obviously that Danny Jones has left New York and has actually signed with the Indianapolis Colts and has been named the starter. So Anthony Richardson's run as the number one in Indianapolis appears to already be over. And I believe their head office even came out and said that drafting him where they did was an oversight. So, way to make your number one draft pick from a couple of seasons ago make it feel real special there, guys. Nicely played. We have the Carolina Panthers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's another difference of opinion. I have gone with the Panthers to get the win. Andy has gone with Jags. We have the Las Vegas Raiders at the New England Patriots. I've gone with the Patriots in this one. Andy's gone with the Raiders. We have the Cardinals at the New Orleans Saints. We've both gone with the Cardinals. Can't see where a lot of the Saints' wins would be coming from this season. I would be concerned.
I've already covered off my feelings on the Saints as a team and what they're going to look like this season. It's just going to be so weird to watch. Like I say, they might come out of the gate and just be a world beater. How? Don't know. Black magic, maybe.
Exactly. Next up, we have they've swapped quarterbacks in the off season, but we have the Steelers at the New York Jets. Some might say I've potentially suffered a brain injury, but I have gone with the Jets to get the win here. Just because I feel that home field advantage might play into their hands. Andy has gone with the Steelers, however, which is probably a much more sensible pick, let's be honest. We have the Giants, New York Giants, at the Washington Commanders. We've both taken the Commanders. I believe we just double check the timings because I think we might be moving into the later slate of games on Sunday as the Denver Broncos find themselves at home, and they very rarely play at 6 p.m. On a Sunday. So let me have a look. We are indeed into the late slate, and the 9:05 kickoffs take place with Tennessee Titans at the Denver Broncos. We've both taken the Broncos in that one. The San Francisco 49ers travel to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. We have another difference of opinion. I've gone with the Seahawks with their home advantage. Andy has taken the 49ers. 9:25. We have another couple of games that will kick off. We have the Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. Tasty little divisional matchup. And we've both taken the Lions, even though they are in Green Bay. Obviously, a bad a bad start for Mr. Michael Parson in his new home, no less. And to finish off the Sunday evening games, we have Houston Texans at the Los Angeles Rams. We've both taken the Rams to get the win there. The Sunday night football is tasty. It sees the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Buffalo Bills. And we've both taken the Bills to get the win there. That is a delicious fixture to open the season.
Delightful.
And we finish the week with the Monday Night Football, and that again is a divisional matchup where we see the Minnesota Vikings travelling to Chicago to take on the Bears.
Chicago.
I've gone with the Bears with their home field advantage. Andy has gone with the hot hand Vikings, hoping they can carry on their good form from last season. So, 16 games, 16 picks for myself and Mr. Cook. Very, very different across there. So, hopefully, we should have enough results to give one of us the first point of the season. So we'll move into the side bet. So for those of you who are new to the podcast, side bet is myself and Mr. Cook take it in turns to pick draft style. We pick teams that we think are heavily favoured to win their week matchup. So, for example, games such as the 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. I dare say you won't be hearing either one of those two teams said by myself or Mr. Cook in this particular section, as that is quite a close game. Dare I even say the Ravens at the Bills? Probably not getting picked as a side bet selection. We're looking at the games where a team is heavily favoured and playing a weaker team, shall we say. So, I believe I won the side bet last season. Let me just double check.
Sounds about right to me.
It did go down to the last week. I won it 57 points to 55. And it was 55-56 going into the Super Bowl. And I won it because the Eagles defeated the Chiefs. I was able to get that last all-important point to take me over the line. So, I therefore will allow Mr. Cook to decide whether he would like to go first or if he would like to go second and have the option of 2 back-to-back picks first, if that makes sense, for the side bet.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? It'll make more sense the more it goes on. If you're new to this system, then just keep listening week in, week out, and it'll become very clear. As I am going first, I will go first because, let's face it, it's an easy start for 10 by taking the starter for 10 as in the first game of the week and predicting the Eagles to win. Because, you know, and then I could hand it back to you to start picking through, well, the rest. It could almost go in order. At this point, but I wonder which is the next game to take off the list.
Yes, I think no one was shocked to hear that the Eagles would have also been my first overall selection. However, I am seeing a game here that I think could have bloodbath written all over it. So I will take the Cincinnati Bengals to put a beating on the Cleveland Browns. I know the Browns are at home. They'll have the home crowd behind them. But I think the Bengals will have just too much for the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals have got a lot of scores to settle from last season as well. They started the season terribly, and it cost them a position in the postseason at the end of the season. So I think they'll want to right those wrongs, start strong, and make sure they are definitely in the end of season reckoning, so to speak. My next selection, it's sitting right there. So I will take the Washington Commanders at home to the New York Giants as my second selection in the side bet, which passes it back over to Mr. Cook and his next 2 selections.
Obviously, we've harped on all the way through this, so I might as well pick it up here and now by taking the Arizona Cardinals to beat the New Orleans Saints. Part of me doesn't want to be super obvious, but then playing for points. So the Chief game's still up for grabs.
Chiefs Chargers?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that is very much still in play.
Like I say, playing for points, so I'll take the Chiefs to beat the Chargers.
Okie. So that just leaves me with my last two to select. This isn't as easy as I first thought. There's quite a lot of games that are sort of 50-50 shots, really, I'd say. However, I do like the look of this one. Obviously, last season's number one overall drafting team were the Tennessee Titans. I don't think they've strengthened enough to be able to take on a team that was very strong last season. So I will go with the Denver Broncos to beat the Tennessee Titans. And to finish off my... No, go ahead.
Well, no, carry on, and I'll add my 2 penneth worth in a second.
Okay. So my fourth and final selection. I'll go with this. It sounds like a bit of a risk, but I'll go with the Patriots to beat the Raiders. I think that Drake May have had he's got a little bit of game time under his belt, growing, he's progressing as a quarterback. I think the Patriots will look to be stronger than they were last season, certainly at home. So I will go with the New England Patriots to beat the Las Vegas Raiders. Sorry. Just over to you, Mr. Cook, to finish us off.
So I didn't want to sort of tip anything there. I was like, there is a game I'm looking at right here in front of me that I'm surprised you didn't pick up. I understand a couple of things. I understand week one, you've not seen a team play, etc., etc. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat the Atlanta Falcons.
Now, I think the only reason I didn't pick that one is because the Falcons are at home. Again, new quarterback in Penix Jr. Kirk Cousins isn't there anymore, or if he is, he's certainly there as the backup. So it's Penix's gig. I'd be interested to see what he brings to the table. Let's put it that way. So, to clarify, Andy's 4 selections, he has the Philadelphia Eagles at home to the Dallas Cowboys. He has the Arizona Cardinals at the New Orleans Saints. He has the Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers, but played in Brazil. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Atlanta Falcons. So 3 road teams, 1 home. I've gone with the Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns, the Washington Commanders at home to the New York Giants, the Denver Broncos at home to the Tennessee Titans, and the New England Patriots at home to the Las Vegas Raiders. So 3 home teams for me, just for 1 road team. So, the thing I teased at the start of the podcast, the new element we're bringing into it, and a monetary element, no less, is that we've introduced a banker and an outsider pick that myself and Mr. Cook will make each week. So to break this down, basically, the banker, I feel, is fairly self-explanatory. It's one that would pick a team that is heavily favoured to win their game. So, for example, this week's bankers that have been picked are the Cincinnati Bengals, who are 2-5 with William Hill to beat the Cleveland Browns. And Pittsburgh Steelers is Andy's choice. They are 8-13 to beat the New York Jets. Obviously, the Jets and the Browns were very much the underdog in those games. Whereas the outsiders that we picked are the teams that are less favoured to win their matchup. So, for example, my pick as the outsider is the Los Angeles Chargers to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You can get the Los Angeles Chargers at 11-8 with William Hill. And Andy's pick is probably the biggest pick of the lot. He has gone with the first overall drafting Tennessee Titans to beat the Denver Broncos, and you can get them as high as 3-1 with William Hill. So £1 on that fourfold of the Los Angeles Chargers, the Tennessee Titans, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Pittsburgh Steelers will return £21.48. So we've got a 20-1 shot on those four teams getting the job done. If they do, we will have £20 in our little skyrocket to play with on next week's Banker Outsider Bet. So there you go. Track it if you're playing along with us at home. Get your own bets on. You have to let us know. Have we made the right choice? Have we made a foolish choice? Please.
Imagine somebody looking at that bet going, I can't knowingly press the button. I just can't do it. It's just throwing money at a wall for a reason. I'm so confused. So yes, this will be certainly an interesting element. Paul has promised me a meal in the Hard Rock Cafe on the Las Vegas Strip if we get the kind of money that will pay for us to both go to Las Vegas and sit in that restaurant, or it is expensive in there.
The hardcore gambler in all of us indicates that if it wins, we have to let it ride, baby.
Let it ride, baby.
Yeah. So, all I'm going to say is stay along for the ride, ladies and gentlemen. It could get wild. That's all.
Yeah.
And
well, there it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of the Week 1 CookieCast Laces Out NFL podcast. It's been quite the ride, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to my esteemed colleague, Mr. Andrew Cook, for joining me to go through the ins and outs, ups and downs of the off season, and to bring you a little flavour of what we're all going to be looking forward to for the next, like I say, 4 to 5 months. It's a great time of the year, and everyone goes into it with newfound optimism. Come Monday, Tuesday morning in the UK, about 4 a.m. At least half of those teams will all be depressed because they've lost their opening games. So
half of the fan base will be miserable. Week 1, game 1. So
it's the best way to be. So yes, thank you very much, and we will be back next week. There may be a guest, there may not, but there'll still be our 2 smiling faces to bring you everything that's going on in the National Football League. Until then, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you all next week. Bye for now.
So there you go, which since that, we are back, baby! Join us throughout the 2025 going into 26 season. We'll finish up with a Super Bowl and a after the Super Bowl show, and there'll be a podcast every week between now and then. So do join us. The best way you can find out when a new episode's available: like, share, subscribe, comment. Leave reviews where you can leave reviews. Check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. Send us your predictions. Number 1, send us your predictions. We will send you an NFL-related gift. Number 2, beat us in the predictions. We'll send you 2 NFL-related gifts. Yes, sir, Bob. Right, there we go. The season has begun. So join us next time. But until then, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to CookieCast.